It felt like, as someone who's watched every snap of his career with the Bears multiple times, Trent, yesterday felt like Justin Fields' best game as a pro to me. Did it to you?
Felt the cleanest. It graded out the cleanest. He looked and played very poised, very in control. I like the more double plus games, and again, this is a hard one. I don't know they're trying to call plays to win the game. And that sounds awful because I think every coach is trying to win the game. But like they get down and they're still handing the ball off,
Yep.
max protecting, hand the ball off. And I'm like, are you trying to create an identity? Are you protecting Justin? I think it's a combination of both those things. But at some point, you just got to let him go try to be Superman every once in a while. Like you got to really find out if he can do it, or at least where he's at in doing it. And I felt like they were protecting him or protecting the offense. That was but I would be disappointed in myself if I called a game like that, especially when they got down after the Montgomery fumble. Justin jumps over the guy, touchdown, Parsons touchdown. Like at that point, let's go try to win the game, throw it around the yard and evaluate it a little bit. Now I get it. They're very hard to block. Dallas is very hard to block in a pass protection situation, but Justin the last couple of weeks has proven that he can create some time and space in the pocket. I still don't think he's not getting enough reps of what you would call the drop back must pass game, where you're throwing on the defense's terms. Like they know it's pass, they're complicated in the secondary, pass protection is complicated. You can't live by that with this team, but he's got to have 4 to 6 to 8 of those a game to grow his game. So I'm kind of over the map, but I was grading this thing. I'm kind of like, God, I wish I would have seen him challenged more. There wasn't a lot of high challenge situations he was in.
That's fascinating. Certainly down 49-29 towards the end. They ran it 3 times in his last possession, and then they go ahead and take him out. And here they are making their trades. Coaching, not necessarily to win, is a really interesting observation, and would dovetail with a lot of what we think is going on. And
I don't want to be quoted that they're not, because I really like this staff. So please, I'm not saying they did that. I'm just saying it was hard not to feel that way.
Sure.
I felt like they thought that they were going to get him killed, Trent.
Yeah, they're trying to protect him. They went crazy to protect on the edges, and they actually did a pretty good job protecting those edges.
Yes, and the handful of times they actually dropped back and threw it. Yes. Again, I really like this staff. So please hear that. And I'm not trying to be politically correct here. Like, I really like this staff. I like what they're doing with what the cards they've been dealt. But at the same time, it did not feel like there was an urgency to go get back in this game, right? Did anybody listening right now feel like there was an urgency after the Montgomery fumble and the Parsons touchdown? Like, okay, let's go unleash the hounds and try to fight and get back in this thing. I didn't feel that way watching it.
No.
In terms of Justin himself, though, Trent, I couldn't stop thinking about something you said last week. You circled the drive and said response drive against the Patriots. He had another one of those yesterday. No, a couple of them, didn't he? Like, this kid does not let things snowball. And as he's playing behind his 5th starting offensive line combination, 8 games, that he's as strong as you had told us he was, isn't he?
Yeah, let's just keep it simple. The stuff bucket is overflowing. It's really hard. I would be shocked if anybody would say anything different than these 2 things. The kid has massive stuff. He's just got the dude qualities. He is a guy. He is the guy that you could put your hat on. Like, he can lead our franchise. And the other thing is that he is a playmaker. Like, he just has horsepower out the yin-yang. The things he does with his feet, the plays he makes off platform, the things he does to create time and space, it's elite. He does both those things at a super high level. Is he a drop back guy yet? I don't know, because I'm not seeing enough opportunity to prove us yay or nay. So there's still going to be, say you guys want me back next year, we're still going to be having these conversations, because in the next 8 games, it does not, look like they're going to quote unquote open up the offense to see if Justin can grow as a drop back passer.
Okay, but so not to put you back into the personnel department in your draft analyst days, but like I've been talking a lot on the show about what Miami did this offseason, Trent, right? Like they didn't know what they had in Tua. And what in the offseason, they went out and got him an offensive head coach. Obviously, the Bears are not going to do that, but they got Luke Getsy, who interviewed for head coaching jobs. We'll see if he's still here next year. But they got him Armstead, right? Premium left tackle. They got him Tyreek Hill, arguably the best receiver in football. They franchise tagged Gesicki, the tight end. They brought in Edmonds and Mostert, a couple of running backs. And all of a sudden, he's got everything in the world around him, and he looks pretty damn good. The Bears have an extra second-round pick, an extra fourth-round pick, $125 million in cap space. It feels to me like this is a survival year for Justin Fields, and then next year, second year in Getsy's system, third year in the league with resources is when we feel like he can maybe soar a little bit.
Yes, and that's what I would do behind the scenes. Here's the one caveat to it. And my assistant just put this note on my desk before we got on the show. Make sure they understand Justin's competitive temperament. That sounds great, except you're dealing with somebody that wants to be an MVP. You're dealing with somebody that wants the burden. He wants the responsibility. He wants to go out there and try to throw his team to a victory. He's known nothing else his entire competitive life except being the dude and putting on the cape and fighting to the bitter end to go win a game. So I bet they better have some real conversations with him behind closed doors on the why behind all this to get him bought in. Otherwise, he's going to be pissed. And you don't want to piss franchise quarterback in the offseason because no matter how much talent you go get him, he's still going to be a little bitter about how this season went. I mean, there's a reason we're professional athletes. We just compete more than the rest of you. We just fight harder than you do. We endure more than you do. Mm-hmm. We wake up. We eat differently than you do. We go to sleep differently than we do. The hair on our arm stands up different than you do. We just do it differently. That's why we're at where we're at. And Justin is elite with that competitive nature. And I'm afraid that, I'm not nearly as good as Justin. I would argue I was as good a competitor. I would have been furious down 21-0 that I'm handing the ball off instead of getting a chance to throw us to a victory or throw us back into a game.
I think these guys understand, at least Poles does, what he's dealing with the humans here. Like he went and talked to the room after they traded Robert Quinn and then talked to the media. I think that he would you, if you were him, would you go and have a conversation with Justin and say, look, you're our guy. We believe in you. I know you don't want to lock yourself into that necessarily at the end of the season, but would that have value for Justin to have Poles come and say, we're in this together and we believe in you and just stick with us, trust us here?
Yes, I would advise, for whatever it's worth, all the heads, owner, GM, president, head coach, Justin meeting saying, hey, you deserve to know what's going on here. And we're going to be totally honest with you. Like, this is why we're calling games this way. This is why we're playing this way. This is why we're trading this way. And frankly, let's look at the tape. And if you disagree with us, talk to us, because we don't want to get you killed. We want to establish, a starting point with our offense, because we're going to go out and we're going to spend a bunch of money and a bunch of draft picks to support you because you're the guy. You've proven the way you've handled it off the field, the way you've handled it on the field, that we can win a Super Bowl with you. We got to eat some stinky sandwiches this year so that moving on, we can have a bunch of ice cream cones.
Can we go through the grades, the extremes on both ends? What were the plays that stood out to you as you graded it?
It was kind of boring. Boring in the sense it was 10 pluses, 4 negatives, no pluses, no double minuses, except I think I text you guys this. The one not touching Parsons, you could argue was a critical error, double minus, because of scores, and I'd be fine grading him as double minus there. I just think it was a lack of awareness, kind of in shock almost that it happened. He still got a minus from me on that. His minuses were an underthrow early to St. Brown.
Yep.
Sorry, my note taking is not elite, but it's like my career. It's very average.
But
it has a ring.
Yes, it does. There was a deep touchdown, or it should have been a touchdown that St. Brown didn't come down with. Right before that, was it an underthrow to Pettis? What happened on that throw to Dante Pettis?
The one that was kind of like, no, I thought I put make a play. Like there were back-to-back deep throws that didn't score. And I just put a note, can somebody make a play? Right? Yeah. It's 28-14. Both balls are throwing really well. This is the NFL flipping L, or however you want to say it. Make a play. Like I'd expect my high school guys to go up and compete for the ball better than those guys did. So make a play there. Another minus was a first down sack. I gave him a minus on the sack, the sack on the 2-point play.
I was curious. What did you see on that one? Was that a blown RPO?
I think it's either called the wrong direction. So it's either a wrong huddle call or it's a really poorly designed play. But either way, Justin has to know where the free rusher is. It's a gap protection with a play action fake with his eyes away from it. And usually you have your eyes to the unblocked guy and RPO that side. So I was a little confused, and I didn't have, again, I'm working off TV copy. I'm pressing pause and slight rewind. And I went through it a few times, and I think it was a blown call. If it's not a blown call, then he has to know that side, because it's full gap protection, if there's man on man outside, there's going to be a guy free. He's got to know there's a guy free. So either way, either called it wrong, it was called wrong coming in, he didn't fix it, or his eyes were in the wrong place. All three scenarios, it's a minus play.
How about the pluses? I'm guessing that the touchdown to N'Keal Harry, where he reads that they're in cover 0. And in his words, he said he stuck with the route concepts that were there. That was a pretty damn good play, that touchdown.
It was, but it was only a plus. Remember, a plus is exceptional. To me, a plus is, it's a really good play. There's a bunch of ways to articulate it, but it's a really good play that not everybody can make. But it's part of his job. Like, you're supposed to see cover 0. You're supposed to see outside technique. You're supposed to throw it to the front side pad. Like, to me, that was not spectacular. His first touchdown run was really good, and he outruns a free runner, but still just a plus. The plus to me is like nobody else could have done it but you on that play. And that's why the game that was it last week where he had 3 or 4 pluses. I mean, those are exceptional games. And you have that many pluses. I think I said I've graded multiple Pro Bowl quarterbacks that will go weeks without a plus.
Right.
They'll play really well, but they won't have a plus. So no pluses this week, just a lot of good, solid plays and very few minuses. And the minuses are, understandable. Everybody in the league is having these minuses. It's not like Mahomes doesn't go a game without a minus, or Aaron Rodgers doesn't go a game with a minus. Like, everybody has these minuses. Another one, he got a plus and a minus on the Parsons play, because the plus was he got out of the sack and sidearmed it to Montgomery to get him better field position. But then the minus is he jumps over the guy.
Yeah.
He still thinks it's college football that he's down when his knee hits the ground. So it's just a weird game. And then, the fourth quarter, I found myself going like, what is there to grade here? Like, it's all circumstantial. Bad play calls, they're onto the bootlegs, guys aren't open. They show a couple replays and there's nobody open. It was really kind of a funky game, late to grade.
There was one that the playmaking bucket is so full, as you have said and helped us realize. There's one where he's rolling left and he's behind the line of scrimmage, and a guy comes up to try and maybe tackle him, and he just kind of pretends he's going to throw it, and that pauses the guy. And then he has the speed to get around the corner and get the edge, and he gets out of bounds safely too. It's like, oh my God, that is playground level genius going on that moment.
His instincts and intuition, his physical confidence are off the charts. I was thinking this today. I was like, and I'm not saying Getzky isn't a great coach. I really do kind of like some of the stuff he's doing. But I would like an Andy Reid to coach
me too.
Fields.
Oh, we just had one supposedly.
Because
didn't go well.
Because with Reid though, but or just perspective, not even coaching, but perspective of like, he saw Favre when Favre wasn't Favre, and he helped develop Favre. Mm-hmm. He saw Hasselbeck. And again, Matt's an underrated NFL quarterback. Matthew Hasselbeck was a really good NFL quarterback. That was a 6th-round pick that was developed from the bench. That was a playmaker. So he saw him develop, and then he obviously went out to Seattle. He saw the more robotic Alex Smith and was able to win with him. And then he saw this young Mahomes that had this intuition and playmaking. Like, how do you coach this? I think it'd be really interesting to get an Andy Reid perspective on, like, because I see Favre and Mahomes and Fields. I remember seeing him when he was 17 years old and making that comparison. I was like, Joey and myself and the lead them stuff around. Like, I see Favre's physicality with Mahomes' intuition. Like, that's why he's one of my all-time favorite Elite 11 guys, because at 17, you could see this rare physical specimen. Brett Favre was a rare physical specimen. And you could see this creative artist that could just do everything that most guys wouldn't even try. That's Mahomes. And I'm like, gosh, he might be the blend of those two guys, but you're going to need a staff that kind of can know how to get that out of him and know how to unleash that and not sequester it.
Trent.
Yeah.
Trent.
We're going to need some toweling off after that.
I mean, you're saying you see Favre and Mahomes and Fields. Those are arguably the two most fun quarterbacks to watch in the NFL in the last 30-something years.
Look at the sidearm plays. Look at the little, like last week, he double pumps the guy off the edge, sidearms it for the touchdown on the screen. This week, he has 2 or 3 kind of drop it down, throw it around guy throws. Yep. His ability to not get tackled in the backfield is unbelievable. They've given up probably a ton of sacks, but he's escaped by himself another 20. Right? There's 20 that he is just by himself not been sacked because of his athleticism, and then he's turned half of those into big plays.
Well, so what do you need to do to get it out of him? You said like what Andy Reid did, he saw him. Like, what do you know? Have you heard the stories? What's the thing or things?
I think the biggest thing is you have to let him be himself. You have to demand professionalism. You have to demand all the detailed things during the week, but when the game starts, let him be himself. Like, don't try to micromanage him in a game. That was the biggest thing I learned talking to Holmgren, watching Andy do this with Mahomes, was during the week, you are expected to be Tom Brady. But on Sunday, you go be you. So trust your preparation, prepare like a Hall of Famer, and then on Sunday, just go play and trust your preparation. Now, that only works if you have some people around you. So I do understand, again, please, I understand why they are doing what they're doing, because they don't want to get them killed. But at some point, let them go put the cape on for a quarter and be like, okay, he had 3 pluses, 2 double minuses. Let's work on the double minuses. Next week, let's do it for another quarter and a half. Wow, 5 pluses. 1 double minus. He's getting better. Like these guys that are, and again, I wasn't one of them. So it's really hard. I hate it when quarterback analysts try to pretend like we actually know what's going through some of these guys just because we played the position. Like, I didn't have his juice. I didn't have his athleticism. So I don't know what it feels like to be like, oh, that's a free rusher. I'm going to make him miss. I'm going to roll it to my left and rip it sidearm 35 yards. Like, I want to see him try that. Especially if you're trading away all your defensive assets, you're not going to stop people. So maybe try to outscore somebody at some point in the second half of the season.
If they're locked in with him and they have him believing and they believe in him and they know that there's an agreement, that kind of thing, then I get what they're doing in that sense.
Yeah, so do I. I would say this. I guess here's the way to say it. As a coach, I'll put on my coach's hat here. What I've learned in coaching, and this is both the camp space, the consulting for 9 years, and now doing it. And whether you're coaching junior high school, college, pro, I think coaching, like the art of coaching, is the same. You have to help your players have a vision for where they're going to be, what they're going to be. And then you got to give them the tools to help them reach that vision. I think the Bears' job right now is to cast a vision of winning a Super Bowl with Justin Fields, and then say, hey, but it's going to take us some time to get you these tools. But we're going to make sure we develop you with what we have right now so that when we get you this ammunition, you're locked and loaded and ready to go. I think that conversation alone for any elite competitor, we go, okay, they got my back. They see it. They're pros at what they do. I'm thinking, they're thinking, we're going the same place. I'll never forget this. And I've said this. I was the worst player in the National Football League in 1996, by far, or 5, maybe 6 too. But I was the worst player. My first ATM card I ever got when they handed me all that money in Tampa, my 4-digit PIN was 1999. And I told my wife and I told my mentor and I told my parents, because I'm going to win a Super Bowl in 1999. Now, I won one in 2000, and the circumstances were different. But in 1995 and 96, when I was absolute dog crap, I still went to the ATM and got my $20 and pushed in 1999. And it reminded me that I was going to win a Super Bowl, that regardless of what people said, that my vision for myself was greater than anybody else's vision for me. And that was not going to hold me back. And I think there's power in coaches to cast that vision onto players at a young age and then say, hey, we're ready to lock arms with you and get this stuff done. It's just going to be a bumpy road, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be gnarly, but we're going to get there. If the Bears do that, they're going to win a championship.
Oh, my God. Trent Dilfer. I thought I was excited coming into work today. Thank you, sir. We will talk to you after the Dolphins game. I'm going to just watch highlights of Pat Mahomes and Brett Favre on YouTube during the commercial break. Thank you.
I can't wait for this game. These are my 2 all-time favorite Elite 11 quarterbacks, Justin and Tua. So, like, this is a special one to me.
Oh.
See, that's for anybody who doesn't realize, Trent coached all these guys.
Okay,
they all came through the camp.
So do you have? I know we're late. Can I get my Tua observation had always been, but now he has everything around him, and he looks amazing. So, am I wrong? What makes him so special? Why was he one of your all-time favorites?
Again, unique competitor. He's got a unique trait that not everybody has. He sees boundaries. His eyes are as good as you'll ever find. He sees it as good as anybody ever. He sees stuff that most quarterbacks never see. He's incredibly accurate.
Yep.
His LTA, load to arrival, so that's a combination of release and ball speed, is elite. People say high, big arms, quick release. It's actually a combination. You're looking for a combination of both. I can give that dissertation next week if you want. LTA, load to arrival. And it wasn't just me. It was a consensus on the staff. We all think all these pundits are crazy. Like, we sit around and listen to these guys that don't like Tua in the fields and be like, you guys don't have a clue. Like, we've been around these guys forever. They just have something that most guys don't have.